Hi, it's Jason. I was 16 when that weekend storm was unexpected and moved quickly across our town. The following Monday, I learned a schoolmate named Bobby Brooks had been killed in Woodland Park. I didn't know Bobby that well. He wasn't in any of my classes. He was a lone wolf with his blonde hair and a flat face, moving through the hallways always sporting his school football jersey. Anytime he looked over at me, I would scurry away like a frightened squirrel. After he died, the school held an assembly in the gymnasium, where a few of his football teammates were forced to recite sad poetry, and a local fireman spoke about the dangers of lightning, emphasizing never to take shelter under a tree if caught in a thunderstorm. When he finished his speech, our old mascot, Tag the Tiger, jumped over him, slam dunking a basketball. A few kids from the school allegedly found the tree in the park where Bobby had been struck. Rumors circulated that described a deep and dark-colored crack that ran down an entire oak, and if you pressed your ear up against the tree, the ghost of Bobby, forever trapped inside, would whisper a secret to you. Phil Green, who lived up the street from me, swore the ghost of Bobby told him God wasn't real. I was curious of finding the tree, yet scared, but more distracted than anything. I was in the middle of trying out for the school basketball team. I spent the majority of my free time practicing in my new pair of Nike shoes, an expensive purchase I made after saving up all my babysitting money. My dream was to play in the NBA for the Boston Celtics. It was my dad who introduced me to the game. Growing up, we would always watch Larry Bird and the Celtics play. He would always playfully yell at the TV, which made for a charged atmosphere in our household. But when Larry Bird retired in 1992, my dad completely lost interest and stopped watching basketball altogether. He turned his attention towards politics, which I had zero interest in. So our free time together sadly diminished down to just quiet family dinners. By making the school team, I was hoping it would reignite his passion for the game and for our relationship. I was devastated when I didn't make the cut. The coach's reason was my height, but I didn't see that as an issue. Despite being one of the smaller players, I was much better than Tyler Mack, who made point guard. That day I stole a bottle of bourbon from my father's basement and shared it after school behind the abandoned Walmart with a few others who didn't make the team. Alan dubbed us the near-miss Marvels. Someone else joked that Bobby was our team captain. I threw up behind a dumpster and walked home still upset, but not before making a detour into Woodland Park. The bourbon still coursing through my blood had given me the liquid courage to want to find the marked tree and confront the lone wolf I barely knew. It was dusk when I entered the deserted park. The darkening sky glowed a soft orange, and the branches on the large trees swayed back and forth from a light wind. As a little boy, I used to play hide and seek in here. As I wandered around and examined each tree, I got nervous, unsure what Bobby would say to me if I found him. Above me, an old plastic bag caught on a tree branch flapped around in the wind like a flag, now signifying a ghost land of abandoned dreams. It didn't take me long to find that tree, a beautiful oak, marked by a tragic gaping wound, permanently split down its center. Teenagers had already carved R.I.P. and Bobby's initials into the bark. Someone wrote the words, "No escape." I pressed my ear up to the deep crack, closed my eyes, and listened in hopeful anticipation. I yearned for him to say something. I demanded a secret like he had told Phil Green. My mind raced with questions. Why didn't I make the team? Could I ever mend my fractured bond with my dad? But all I received in return was just bitter silence, just as cold as those school hallways. I peered inside the hollowed blackness of the tree. The pungent smell of charred wood instantly filled my lungs and penetrated my brain like taking a hit off of a crack pipe. I envisioned the lone wolf on fire racing through the park for the last time, as all the other wildlife watched in awe. The bright and wild flame reflected in my tiny squirrel eyes would eventually flicker out, and that electricity in the air I'd never feel again.